No, I'm good.
Oh, it's his
Um,
birthday.
You know, it's.
The king.
Okay, I'm gonna
I hope I don't find out. I'm not good.
call
Not
call
now.
the meeting to order. This is the annual meeting, 7 PM.
At least this part of it.
And the first order of business is to nominate a slate of officers for the IDA. Jim had requested that Nate, as governance committee chair, work to propose a slate of officers. When he indicated that he could not come to the meeting, he asked me to share with all of you what his proposed slate of officers is, which is to do the same slate as we had last year. And so I will read that for everybody. Rachel might have printed it. But last year, our slate of officers was as follows: Chair Jim Ellis, Vice Chair Sherry Boyer, Secretary Nick Russell, Assistant Secretary Melissa Mills, Treasurer Archie McKee. So with that, I would ask for motions for slate of officers.
So move for the slate of officers presented.
Is there a second? Sherry? Any discussion? Paul?
Mid-year, we appointed, I believe, Nick Russell as the assistant treasurer.
New position. I amend my motion to reflect Paul's discourse.
Okay, second on the amendment. All in favor of the slate of officers as proposed?
Aye.
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 Okay, any opposed? Great, hearing none. Appreciate everybody's willingness to serve, and Jim, I will turn the meeting over to you.
Thank you, Jeremy. It was an awful fight, but I think I'm glad that I had the kind of people helping me that did. So the fight's over and we're ready to go. So if there's anybody that would like this job, they can have it at your request. So, although I find it interesting. So, appointment of committees, I'm gonna continue the committees as they were or are. Item number 2, let me do the roll call first, please. Rachel?
Oh, we skipped
Sherry Boyer,
present.
Jim Ellis,
Here.
Melissa Mills,
Here.
Clyde Rabidou,
Here.
Archie McKee is absent, Nate Manette is absent, and Nick Russell is absent. Also present, Jeremy Evans, Paul Ellis, and Rachel Carr.
Thank you. To accept the agenda is the second step. Are there any changes or additions, deletions, or anything that should be attached to the agenda as we have it presented here on this sheet? Hearing none, we'll assume that the agenda as indicated here is acceptable. Public comments. Any public comments? There being none, we'll move on to number 4, approval of the previous meeting minutes of December 11, 2024.
So moved.
Second? Second, Melissa. All those in favor of accepting the minutes of the previous meeting of December 11, 2024, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay? Committee reports, Chair will dispense with those because our committee chairs are not here today. The Treasurer's report, Paul?
Nothing to do. Sorry, I was answering a question. Nothing to report of any kind of unique nature, other than that we're at the end of the year, obviously, and the reports that you receive are still subject to, year-end reconciliations and those types of things, plus the audit entries that we'll receive from the auditors. But it's they're all, fairly accurate representation of where we stand.
Thank you, Paul. Paul, when do we, get an auditor's report? What month? Or do we know
What's
yet?
that?
March.
March, auditor's report in March?
Right, yeah, the auditor usually comes in the first or second week of February. We do a lot of prep work ahead of that. And then, it takes them time to do their magic and then, forward us the report for the board's approval.
Anything else to add to the treasurer's report, Paul?
No,
Okay. All those in favor of accepting the treasurer's report as Paul just gave us, please make a motion. Motion to accept treasurer's report, Melissa. Second, Clyde.
Yep.
All those in favor of adopting the treasurer's report as just given, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed,
Aye.
nay. CEO,
Just a short thing for IDA. I'll spend more time in EDC. Thank you, everybody, for continuing to serve in your role. We all enjoy working for all of you. We've got a busy and exciting year ahead. Two things related to 2025, specific to the IDA that I just wanted to point out. One big effort will be reviewing and considering proposed benefits for the proposed Brookside Solar Project in Chateaugay and Burke. That the board did an initial approval for a couple months ago. So that's going to take a lot of work this first few months in 2025. The other big thing for the IDA, which was discussed at the last meeting a little bit, is updating our tax exemption policy. This was something that was last updated in 2018. And since then, there's at least three things that we want to address with it. The thing that was brought up last meeting was looking at adding in more specific criteria for how we consider sales tax projects. Another one is being more specific as far as what we do for benefits related to housing projects. And then there's also a lot of sales tax exemption policies have specific schedules for pilots based on the type of use or industry. Ours, we don't have anything like that. And I think building upon Clyde's recommendation last month that we have a more structured criteria-based approach for sales tax projects. There are ways that we can do that with pilot projects as well, and there's examples out there. So that'll be something we take on in the first part of the year. We cannot, as far as how you adopt them, it's up to the board's discretion. However, we do need to publicize any proposed amendments to our tax exemption policy since it affects taxing jurisdictions. So we will have to, once we have a proposed changes, we will have to advertise those and give an opportunity for public comment. So we will come up with a schedule for how to tackle that. But I just wanted to share that because it is IDA specific.
very good.
Thanks for that follow-up. And a couple of questions or clarifications would be, I would like to get the state statutes regarding qualifying entities
Okay.
for sales tax abatement. That's number one. And any other state regulations surrounding it. The other part that I thought about the last meeting, but I didn't think it was the right time to go into it, was the fairness to competitors. For example, we did a hotel tax abatement last meeting that was already built. It's already there. It's already competing. Did we give unfair advantage, competitive advantage to this entity as opposed to the other two new hotels I think I saw in Malone last week when I drove through. I don't know, but I think we should really consider the effect on competition that are paying full boat taxes all this time. Have we been fair to them in offering this abatement to a competing entity?
Yeah, I understand where you're coming from. I think that's a good question. But I do think that think about the public hearing. Anytime we adopt one of these, any one of those people would be very welcome to come in and share their,
Yeah,
share their concerns.
no, I
If there
agree.
is a concern.
I agree with you,
Yeah.
but notwithstanding, I think the onus is on us to
Oh,
make
yeah.
sure we're being fair.
Yep.
Whether there's somebody at a public hearing or not.
Right.
So that's, being in the private enterprise for the last half a century, I'm kind of tuned into this kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I really have winced when I see competitors get all this hundreds of thousands of dollars to go build an apartment building, whatever, a store, a bar. That was amazing.
Wow.
And I shake my head. I go, what's going on here? So, anyway, I'd like to be, I'd like to have our board be aware of it at least.
Yeah.
Going forward. That's all.
Good.
In Tupper Lake, our zoning ordinance, for example, somebody comes in, they want to change, a map change. We make it our point, and I'm not sure if that was state reg at the time we did it, but everybody surrounding has to be notified of the public hearing. And I'm not sure that I think that's, let's say you did, as Clyde points out, one that we did for a hotel. We really should probably think about, it's not gonna take a lot of bookwork or writing.
No.
And notify the others that there's a public hearing.
Okay.
And the subject will be,
And we really didn't see the financial need either, did we? Like,
Well, I
I
mean,
mean, they could get it, so why not get it? I don't blame them. I'd do the same
Right.
thing they did.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
yeah, that's the point well
well,
taken.
it's been 6 years, so it's time we can
Okay.
make those improvements.
Thank you. Anything else for the CEO?
No.
report? Thank you, Jeremy. I don't believe there's a motion needed to adopt this.
No.
Or do you? No, okay. Old business, any old business to be taken care of? I do have one item of old business. It was agreed among us that we were gonna there was a topic that came up at the executive session the last time that was going to create the need for a special meeting or at least a phone call, a Zoom meeting. But with everything else going on and at the same time today with the lack of 3 members, I'd like to indicate I know that's there and that we'll take it up at the next meeting in executive session. New business. Resolution number 2025-01, adopting required policies. All of those required policies are attached to each of the IDA entities. If you need to, you can just flop through the papers here and you can find attached to this agenda a mission statements and other criteria as indicated here, disposition of property policy and our procurement policy. And at this point, before we put it on the floor, Jeremy, is there anything that we need to look at or know about before we go into this?
2 things. The reason we are considering these is because by statute, these 3 have to be readopted every
Right.
year, number 1. Second, there are no changes in any of these from last year.
Very good. Can we have a motion to adopt resolution 2025-01, adoption of required policies? Motion by Clyde, second? Second, Melissa?
Yep.
Discussion. There being no indication discussion. This one here I'm going to do is roll call. And I think it's important for us to do that. So could you call the roll, Rachel, on the adoption of those 3 items, mission statement, property policy and procurement policy, all of which make up 2025-01.
Yes, Sherry Bouye,
Yes,
James Ellis,
Yes,
Melissa Mills,
Yes.
Clyde Rabidou,
Yes.
Archie McKee, Nate Manette, and Nick Russell are absent.
Very good, thank you, Rachel. Is there any need for executive session? There being no need indicated, we then go on to public comment. There being none, we'll now go to, number 12, adjournment. And I'll indicate to you that our next meeting will be February 12th, 2025. And can we have a motion to adjourn this section of the meeting?
Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn by Clyde. Second. Sherry. Discussion? None? Therefore, all those in favor of adjourning, please signify by saying